Cascade Hoops Talk, this is Billy D. Hey, today we have Scott Moore. You know, he's the head coach of the great head men's basketball coach, Grace College Lancers. You better buckle up for this one. Cascade Hoops Talk starts right now. Cascade Hoops Talk, produced in the shadow of the beautiful Cascade Mountains and bringing the world NAIA basketball. One podcast at a time. So everybody knows Scott Moore, head men's basketball coach, Grace Lancers. I'm not going to give you much of an introduction, but I do want to talk about my trip out there. I've talked about it several times, but Morningside and Briarcliff are coming out from the GPAC. We're going to Grace on Friday night. This is, what is it? Halloween night, I believe. It's a Friday and Saturday. And Grace and Huntington are playing those two teams. And then the next night we're going up to Huntington. We're going to play in the Platt Center. And then they'll just reverse opponents. It is going to be a gas. You can't miss it. If you're from anywhere around there, you got to get over for that weekend. Those GPAC teams are going to come out hungry. I know Indiana fans love when teams come out from around the country. They like to give them a little special kind of welcome, if you know what I mean. So it's going to be a ton of fun. If you can at all, get over there for that. But right now, settle in, grab your coffee, listen to Scott Moore, head men's basketball coach, Grace College Lancers. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D. Hey, I got Scott Moore on the phone. You know him. He's the head men's basketball coach, Grace College. They are the Lancers. Thank you, Coach.
Coach Billy D. I feel like you're like an assistant now. How many years have we been doing this?
Oh,
what
man.
Are we on here? Like
this, like 7, 8 years or something. Your place was the first trip I made. Remember one of the first things I did is I harassed you and James Long to get back together because you couldn't play in Sioux Falls.
And then we did, and then I got COVID, and then I couldn't even coach in the game. And I blame you. But no, you are the godfather of NAIA basketball, buddy. So it is good to be back, and another season is here.
Well, you know what? I number one, I know you're teasing around, but that's really, really nice of you to say. I work my butt off. I don't think I'm too old to really do a great job at this because I'm still learning it. But I do want to talk about NAIA basketball. You know, I always push it all I can, and it's not because I'm just trying to be a homer or anything. I think that the NAIA has really hit on something with really pushing what a scholar athlete is and, playing the right way. It's always been something that has been said, but it's become part of the DNA. And I think the NAIA has done an absolutely fantastic job building the brand here recently.
Yeah, it's just, we're different. And I think that's in a good way. I think with just so many changes that have, think about the last decade, Billy, and how the NIL and the transfer portal and, you have coaches jumping ship every 5 minutes. You got players jumping ship every 5 minutes. You got this, it is different now than it ever was, when we were growing up experiencing what this was. And I think from a purity standpoint, I think college athletics, in particular college basketball in the NAIA, is really strong. I think you're seeing fantastic athletes. I think you're seeing these kids, go to places, stay at places. I think coaches will tell you this, where, a lot of the idea behind coaching was always, get into a job, work your way up, and then try to get that big time job and be the next one. And now you see how many big time coaches do we see at programs, Billy, in the NAIA just stay because they realize like the grass is not always greener. Like my grass is pretty green right now. And I think you have a lot of coaches that love the purity of the game and love these, 3-4 year athletes. They kind of like the idea like, hey, I don't have to get into this whole financial NIL business. I can just coach the student athlete at its purest form. I think that's really neat. And so, I think right now, 2025, I think NAIA basketball is as strong as it's ever been from top to bottom. I think you got great players. I think you got exceptional coaches. and it's a really neat fraternity to be a part of.
Yeah, I think that from my standpoint, what I'm most impressed with is just the great life these men go on to have. Most of them, I mean, they're all getting their education. I don't know how many guys I talk to that are going on to med school or going on to dental school or going on to engineering school, and or they have jobs before they graduate, and that's always really gratifying to me. And really, for young men, it's a real opportunity. Go get your education, get a lot of help with it, and then go have a good life after basketball. Because that basketball thing, I don't care how good you are, it's finite.
Yeah, it's going to end. I was lucky enough. My twin brother and I were lucky enough. Coach Widener was lucky enough. Like, some of these guys get to play basketball out of college, and then they realize that, wait a minute, I'm 24 and I'm retired. Like, what now? And I think the neat thing is, as a coach, I think these kids realize when they come in at 18, like everybody wants to play basketball, and that's kind of an identity, and they're so engulfed in that. And then you see them at 22 and 23, and we tell them all the time, like, I don't want basketball to become less of a priority necessarily. I just want other things to become more of a priority. And when you get these guys, out of here and they graduate, and you see them get married and have these jobs, Jake Wadding, he's a trooper, right? He's a state trooper. He gets to put on the hat, and he gets to pull you over, and hey, you're driving too fast. And that's really cool to see that. Man, I saw that kid at 18, 19 goofing off in the back of the bus, and just now to see him in that, I guess that's the rewarding part. And that's what we do. You want to win games, and you want to hang banners, and you want to make a difference. But I think you try to look for, like, what's the eternal paycheck with this stuff, and that stuff right there, honestly, keeps you coming back to do what you do.
You and I were just talking before we started. You're rolling the roster like it seems like everybody in the country is, with the exception of Southern Oregon. That's one program I've talked to that has basically everybody back. But just talk about the legacy that the last couple of classes have left there at Grace College. Just phenomenal. From all the way down from Elijah and the Gibbs brothers to, Ian Scott. Yep. I mean, it just goes on and on. Just talk about the legacy that group has left.
Well, that's the special part about it is, I'm looking at them in my office right now, and, my trophies are on the wall, which is all those kids that have come and have graduated and have played for me and Jordan and Steve and have gone on, after school. Like, those are your trophies. And to see what they've done, since they've been here these last 6 years, it's taken a program that was already special, that was already well known. And it's, now that we've gone one division, they have put Grace on the map, across the country, which is really cool. But yeah, what they've been able to done, both individually and as a collective group, what it does is it makes this expectation, and it truly is a program where now the kids you have coming in. I was talking to one of our freshmen the other day, and I said, are you liking it? Are you nervous? Or like where are you at mentally? And he, his comment was interesting. He goes, well, Coach, we just have, it's such a legacy, like, we're trying to follow, like, we just don't want to let you down. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even think about that. I'm just like, man, like, one, I hope they don't feel like the pressure of trying to be someone they're not. Like, you're not Malone, you're not the Gibbs, but you are your own, and you're really good, so you get to write your own story.
Right.
But I've never heard a kid say that, where it's like, oh, that's kind of neat. Like, they view this as, we're coming into a program that we want to make proud and continue a legacy. So, yeah, we had a rollover like anybody else. The COVID year has come and gone, and, like, now you actually know what grade these kids are in. Yeah. We're not starting fresh. We definitely have some dudes in the cupboard, and we've got some guys we're going to lean on. But 6 new faces, which is kind of cool, and it's exciting to coach basketball and just teach different things that we haven't had to in the last couple of years.
Yeah, most notable to me is you got no seniors. You definitely have guys that have a lot of experience, serious experience, but no seniors. But you're really going to count on these juniors, aren't you? Especially Roush and Sefton.
And those are the two guys, we'll hang our hat on. And again, they've been there, right? Two national tournaments, 2 really deep runs in a national tournament. and, two Crossroads League, titles. Like, these guys, both of those guys have played and won a ton of games. And in, one capacity, they had minimal role, and the other capacity, they had a huge role. So, yeah, you're just leaning on experience. Both of them are our captains, which is really cool, along with a young man named Caleb Harold. And, I think it's really neat to see the way they did it is kind of old school, where they came in and, like, look, they're playing behind guys that were really, really good. And even though they were good, and I think I think Ian played maybe 8 minutes a game, and Gage was like 12 minutes a game as a freshman. And then fast forward to their sophomore year, where, last 10, 12 games of the season, you probably couldn't have picked, more than 4 or 5 guys that were better than Ian Rosh in the country. I mean, just to see the development of both those guys. So, yeah, leaning into it, obviously another big step in their offseason. Going to lean on them a bunch. And then, Hunter Walston played a little bit at the end there for us. Started picking up minutes as a freshman last year, and just kind of a do-it-all guy, 6'7", can play the point, can play the 5. Obviously, that's kind of like our whole roster, it feels like. But, we're going to lean on him because he's a returning guy. We did have a couple redshirt guys and a couple of freshmen that, again, like Gage and Ian, had a lot of talent ahead of them. And so, they're new names that not a lot of people know, but, they'll find out about this year, which is pretty exciting.
You have a ton of freshmen. I wanted to ask you about them, but before we get to that, unless I'm missing something here, you don't really have a true post, do you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, my philosophy, we post up everybody and our managers. So, we teach that where, you got to be able to shoot, pass, and dribble. You got to be able to create. You got to be able to post. You got to be able to pass. Like, those are some things that we recruit. We do have a couple guys that are probably more particular. Ian's younger brother, we call him the big brother because he's, 6'9".
Yeah.
But Tyler Rosh is a freshman, the younger brother of Ian, and he is very talented, completely different than Ian, but he's probably more of your traditional, like, looking 5-man. And then a freshman we had last year is a sophomore now, Isaac Schultz, is probably a little bit more of your traditional 5. But other than that, we got a lot of guys that can play quite a bit of positions, which has been fun kind of play with both offensively and defensively.
I see you had actually it was a big pickup. You got Luke Bricker there locally out of Warsaw. How much extra work does it take to coach those guys once they've been over at Warsaw for a while?
Well, their head coach in high school was an idiot, so it takes a while to get rid of all the bad habits they learned playing for Coach Moore. And now that they have a good Coach Moore, we'll see what happens. But, it's funny. The reality is, Bill, we were just talking about this where, recruiting is such an important, like, what you recruit and what you like in your program, is such a value to make sure you stick to your guns, because we have found that if you look on our roster, the 6 freshmen we have that came in, they have a combined high school record of 83, I think just over 83% winning percentage.
Wow.
And so I love kids that win. The other thing is I love the skill set. So a lot of those kids that we got, they're coming from programs with coaches who in Indiana, like, those guys are big time coaches. Yes. They could coach at the college level. So that's very advantageous for us where, Luke's coming in, Matt's one of the best X's and O's coaches that I know. A guy, Michael Wellman's coming in from Portage, just tough nosed, that region area is so good. Grady Carpenter, the 6'6" point guard that we have coming in from Tipton, played for a Hall of Fame coach. Coach Hawkins, has been coaching, and he coached Luke Recker, who, was a stud who played at Indiana and then Iowa. The Rosh brothers, with Coach Wolf. There's so many good coaches that have been able to set the tone where now when we get them, man, it's like, okay, like, they're off. And so that's been so good for us. Definitely not lacking in the skill department, and again, it fits how we want to play anyway. So,
well, I've heard other coaches this season really echo that. They want the Indiana guys. Even Cottingham tries to get the Indiana guys because they're so well coached and they come in with the basics are down. Steve Draven went as far as said, I don't even have to go to clinics. I go to high school basketball practices in Indiana,
Yeah,
and I learn more
that's,
there than I do at a clinic.
there's a lot of truth in that, man. I really, there's so many good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. So coming into this season, we were kind of teasing you about not having any seniors back, but you are loaded with talent, but some of it is raw. So as you come in and you get this team ready, what is your message to this team, and what is your real focus as you build it?
Well, Jordan and Steven and I, and add Marcus Davidson now. I don't know if I told you that, but Marcus is an assistant coach with
Oh,
us,
I
and
didn't
he's going to
realize
be
that.
fantastic. And I think what our focus is, Billy, is we're focusing on the how.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of like, hey, what do you do? Well, it's a lot. Like we do a lot, but none of that matters if you don't learn how to do the way we do things. Like you come to watch us practice, you come to watch us compete. The reason those guys were good before them is the how. They played
Mm-hmm.
and competed at such a high level, and it didn't matter what it was. Like Carter Stoltzfus was gonna just cut you up to try to beat you, and Ian Scott was gonna do anything he could to beat you. And that competitiveness and doing it the right way, like that's what you kind of hope for when you get new kids, is like, okay, we're going to teach you what we do, but first let's teach you how we're going to play. We're going to play hard, we're going to play the right way, we're going to do this. So the expectations, I think, is kind of what we've focused on building. And then now when they get that down, and it doesn't take long, right? The
Yeah.
bar is set so high for some of these returning guys. They already know how we practice and they already know how we play. So I think it's really kind of one of those things where if they don't match that, they get kind of weeded out pretty quick, and nobody wants to kind of be the odd man out. So they got that down, and now it's slowly. Let's not skip steps. Like this is a long game. Like this, can this team win the Crossroads? Yes, they could. Can they finish 10th in the Crossroads? Yes, they could. Like there's so much open unknown. But we're not going to hurry this thing and try to skip steps to get there. Like, we have no seniors. So I want to be better at the end of this week than we were
Mm-hmm.
last week. I want to
Mm-hmm.
be really good at the end of November, and I want to be really good come January.
Absolutely.
And then think about this time next year where this team is going to be if they stick together, if they stay here, if they buy in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're coming in next year too. And again, I'm not trying to say this is a throwaway year. No, we're going to try to go win the whole thing. And heck, these guys are talented enough. They very well could,
Mm-hmm.
but not at the expense of we're going to hurry up and band-aid this together and just, get a fix. Like, no, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a day-to-day. And I think they're bought into that, which is exciting.
You mentioned Carter Stoltzfus. He was like a badger on defense. That's the only way I could describe him. He was just relentless, and he was one of the best ball hawking defenders I ever saw on the perimeter. Different than Miles Burns. Miles Burns was chasing the ball laterally,
Yeah.
but Carter just went forward, and he was a badger.
You just, you think about guys that are coming and go in your program, and if someone said, "Hey, coach, I want you to describe Carter in one word," it would be easy for me. Carter was just a winner. He was a winner. It didn't matter what you asked him to do. Carter was a coach on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and I found myself even last year when I got back on the sideline. Part of it where with Steven and Jordan did such a tremendous job of just keep leading our guys. But part of I wasn't that worried that I wasn't even around is because, a guy like Carter was like, dude, he is a coach. He was coaching our guys, right? He was
Right.
leading our guys. He was telling them what to do. They've kind of been there before. And so, you don't need me now, boys. It's like, hey, go do what you got to do. And Carter just took, to see him as a freshman, to see him as a senior. Now he's at Indiana State with
Yep.
Ian, right? I told Coach Graves, is like, look, man, I know you're going to love Ian, but you're going to love Carter probably even more. And he's not even playing for you.
Yeah.
Like he's going to be on a high major staff. And it wouldn't shock me if he's a high major coach, in a decade. Like
Wow.
he has that ability. And whoever gets him as an assistant is lucky because, again, he's a winner and he'll do whatever it takes to get that.
Hey, let's talk a little about this season. We got a special event. I wanted to touch on that coming up at the end of October. You're going to open, well, before we talk about the special event, you're going out to Colorado.
Yep.
Hey,
Soon, next week.
Yeah. I will see October 19th you play him. Obviously, Malone's out there. That adds a real special flair to it. But talk about what that means to your guys and to you and just to your program.
Well, it just shows you that there's a lot of great people involved, right? Like the opportunity to go to play at CU and be in the event center there. And I went on the visits with E when we first kind of were touring around, and like, we're going out there because Coach Boyle was great enough to help us out, and we were, great enough to kind of help him with E. And E, I don't know why the NCAA keeps giving free years out, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
I guess so. I can't
yeah,
figure
but
it
it was
out.
cool to see him. It wasn't much thought. He went back to Colorado to get better, and that team's going to be better. And what Coach Painter did for us at Purdue, like,
Yep.
Anytime these programs, I think they realize this, but I don't know if they understand the impact that it actually has on the program and the town, because it is a big deal. Like for us to go out and play a Big 12 team, it makes it even more special because one of the kids is yours. But
Right.
like that's something these kids never forget. And we get to go out there longer. We're going to go out for 5 days. We're going to make kind of that our retreat. And so we get to be in Colorado Springs and Boulder and just as a team. And then we get to play against, my guy. And then that kicks off our season. So super excited about that. Really, really thankful for Coach Boyle of giving us the opportunity to come out there. And it is any Power 5 or Power 4 school that can do that. It just means the world to our programs.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you come back. You're going to kick off your home season with Governor State. Always a good program out of the Chicagoland. And then I'll be out there at the end of the month. We got Morningside and Briarcliff coming out. We're going to have a GPAC Crossroads Challenge. We're going to play Friday night there in Winona Lake. And then Saturday, we're going to all drive up to Huntington and do it all over again. It's a pretty special event with those teams coming out.
Yeah, it was kind of something we kind of went off on with our Oregon trip, right, that you helped me with together with those teams. And, for us to have the Oregon teams come in and for us to turn around and go back out to Klamath Falls and get to experience that was so cool. And we randomly kept thinking, like, gosh, we got to do more of this. Like, and then what better conference to do it? Like we're talking, we really wanted to do like a Mid-South or a GPAC. And, I just so happened to just be talking to Segura and we're like, hey, we should do something. And then before you know it, Coach Alford and I kind of threw out this idea, and, Trent and Mark jumped on board, and, we got it set up, and then Corey decided he's a bum and left. But, Jared was kind enough to stick with it. And so, yeah, the great, you want to see high level offense. Like, holy cow, that weekend is going to be explosive. So they get to come to us, and then we get to turn around and go out there the following year. And again, I think it's just good for the NAIA as well. I think
Absolutely.
there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on those games just because they're 4 good teams, but also like when it comes down to those early season cross, arc kind of games are really important. And what's really neat is you want to get out and you want to play really good teams, and you want that to early see. You just want to see where you're at, but you also don't want it to like crush you from a RPI or a strength of schedule or anything like that, where it's like, no, you're asking us to go play great teams right away, and so that's why Spring Arbor goes and they play Indiana Tech in that WAC challenge with Wesleyan and like the Cornerstone. Like, we want to play those good teams, and win or lose really shouldn't do anything. It should just set you up and see where you're at as a program. So that's why we did it. It's going to be really neat. It's really early in the season, and it's we'll get an idea how good the freshmen are right away.
Well, I can't wait. We're heading out the Wednesday before. I got a grown grandson who loves helping me with the interviews and covering. So it's going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait to get out there. You got to be excited for the season to start. I mean, you got a pretty much a brand new team. You your competitive juices have got to be flowing big time right now.
Yeah, full transparency, Billy. This is the most excited I've been going into a season.
Yep.
And I say that in a lot of ways. I'm not young anymore. Like, I'm not old, but I've got enough years under my belt now where I kind of know my why, and I really, I'm as competitive as Colby. I'm as competitive as Chris. I'm as competitive as Greg. I'm competitive as all those guys. Like, I'm as competitive as any one of them, and we're gonna try to be there in the end. But also, like, maybe it's getting older. Maybe it's going through my sickness last year a little bit, and part of that is having a new team. But, like, man, I'm just having fun. I'm having fun with fresh faces, and I'm having fun talking to my guys who graduated and knowing that God's really working in their lives. And I've got a 5-year-old at home and a 9-month-old at home, and we moved, so we have a new house, which is keeping us busy, just picking up and cleaning and doing all these things that my wife apparently wants to get done in every first 5 minutes to live in there. But no, life is good right now. I'm super pumped. I'm really excited to see what these guys become. I do think this could be a national contending team, but I'm really excited to go on the journey with them. And so it's not going to be a national tournament team, against Governor State on October 24th, but that's why we get to play 28 games plus more. And I'm really excited just to see the development and see where we go.
Well, Scott, I really appreciate you taking the time this morning, and I'll definitely see you here at the end of the month, and we're going to have a gas with those guys. They're coming out. They're really looking forward to it. I hope your fans are looking forward to it as well.
It's going to be fun, man. Can't wait. Thanks for all your interviews. I've enjoyed listening to them, man. It gets me fired up that, holy cow, like, we're getting ready to scrimmage, Coach Albert and Indiana Tech, like, soon. And it's like, holy smokes, like, it's here, dude.
Yep. So
excited. Yeah, really looking forward to it, and really looking to having you here at the end of October, buddy. What are you wearing for Halloween?
I'm going to dress up like an old fat man.
At the game, you can't come in unless you have a costume. So
then I'll skip that game.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I'll give you the Lancer head, and you can walk in as a Lancer.
Oh yeah, don't tempt me. Don't tempt me.
So I'll be
that
sure
sounds
to
like something that'd be
something
something I would do.
Friday night, I'll embarrass you. I'm sure they'll do some games with the students and stuff, and I'll make sure you're selected to come out and do some sort of like dance in front of
It's not very hard to embarrass me. That's like easy pickings, man.
I love it. All right, man. Well, be good, and thanks for everything you do, man.
Okay, that's Scott Moore, head men's basketball coach, Grace College Lancers. Thank you, Coach. Hey, thanks a lot, Scott Moore, and to Grace College. I tell you what, you got to get out there to Grace and Huntington. Fill those gyms up. This is going to be a fun weekend. We're, kicking off the season. I know it's a couple games in, but it's right there at the front of the season. Get the fans out there. GPAC versus Crossroads. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. Everybody tells me how great the Indiana fans are. I think you should pack those stadiums and prove it. Anyway, come up and talk to me. I'm not that hard to find. I'm really easy to find. Come up and talk to me. We're going to have a lot of fun. But get to Grace and Huntington, and let's have a great Halloween weekend out there in Indiana. Hey, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. It's Billy D. Thank you very much for supporting our podcast. Please like and subscribe. Get out to your local NAIA school, because NAIA basketball is the best entertainment value in America.